when you stop and think about it, we only have two things that we're in control of. Only two things: our thoughts and our actions. And the reality is, we don't get to decide our future. Since we only control our thoughts and we control our actions, what does decide our future and control our future? Well, our thoughts are the only things that lead to our actions. The actions we take create our habits, and it's our habits that determine our future.
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Hello and welcome to Health in the Real World. We're here with Rick Kahdeman. Rick, how's it going today?
It's going great, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. Glad you're here. So Rick, tell us a quick introduction about who you are, and then we can get right into it with the topics today.
I'd be happy to, Chris. I am a health coach, and I coach people with the #1 physician-recommended health optimization program in the country. And it's all designed around helping people get control of their health. And by that, I mean being able to treat the causes of the primary causes of chronic diseases that people suffer from in our country today, which are primarily type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. And the reason the doctor that created our program was so concerned about that is he was treating those people with medications, but he understood that both of those chronic diseases are both preventable and reversible. And so he wanted to go upstream to treat the causes, and he created the programs and protocols that I coach. And so that's what I get to do with and help people really transform their health.
That's great. And you know, one thing when we spoke before, one thing I really appreciate about the program from what you told me is that it's more habits based, it's more lifestyle based and decisions based, getting you in a routine. And we'll definitely talk about that toward the end. Where I wanted to start with is, what would you tell somebody? Let's say you meet them at a dinner party. They claim to not be very healthy. They want some help. What's like the one or two things that you would recommend them start first before anything else?
Well, the same thing that you and I and everyone else have learned in general terms over the years, over the decades, and that is eating healthy is the single most important thing we can do to have a healthy body. But the problem with just saying eating healthy is that doesn't give us the how. The concept is true. It's always been true, and it's still true to this day. But over the last 4 decades, for example, 40 years plus, we've had more and more education available to us, especially since the internet came along. But we've got registered dietitians, and we've got doctors, and we've got many smart people, and all the information we need to have on the internet about how to eat healthy in the best possible way. Well, so why don't people do it? If we've got more and more education, why aren't people getting healthier? Why is it that 70% of our population in America today is overweight or obese? Why is it that these incidences of type 2 diabetes and heart disease have only increased over those same 4 decades while the availability of information is there and increased? And the answer is because it's hard to do. And the reality is that 95% of the people who start any health program, any healthy eating program, any diet, any exercise program without support quit within 2 weeks. It's why the gyms are empty in February. And that's why what you do is so important, because you provide that support. That was the key word, is 95% quit without support. And that's what I do. I provide the support. Education alone, as valuable as it is not enough.
Right. It's habits based, right? It's something that I think once you're healthy, and this is the thing, once you become a health coach or a personal trainer, you've sort of already mastered the ins and outs of the regimentation, so to speak. Regimentation is kind of sounds a little strict, but you know what I mean, as far as like, you know what to do, you know what to stay away from, you know that occasionally when you sort of fall off the wagon, you know exactly how to get right back up. And you've sort of crossed over that threshold, so to speak. I wanted to talk to you about that wagon that some people have fallen off, that probably everybody in the world, even the fittest and healthiest among us, have fallen off. What do you talk to that person about who maybe had a series of months of wild successes and now has fallen off the wagon? And what's your pep talk to that person?
Well, the pep talk actually starts on day one before they even start the program. And the program will be successful, whoever does it. There's no question that healthy eating the right way will produce results, no question about it. But the consistency for that result over time, and to avoid or to help people get back on the wagon if they fall off, is by helping people begin to visualize what it is they're doing. Why am I here? That's the most important part. Most people who come to you, who come to me, have a goal in mind, but those goals that they have in mind are usually not the ones that will create and sustain the motivation they need to be consistent for a lifetime. For example, when people come to me and say, Rick, can you help me? They know what I do. They've seen the before and after pictures, at least on the weight loss programs, sort of what we offer. And they want to check it out. And I said, well, what do you want to accomplish? Well, I want to lose 40 pounds. Well, the real goal is not to lose 40 pounds when someone says that to you or me, or they want to lose weight, or they want to look more fit, or whatever it is they want to do. The real goal is, how is my life going to be better? Who am I going to become if I accomplish that? And that's really the most important thing that I can do as a coach, among the many things that I do to help our clients succeed, is to help them change their orientation from solving a problem, which is just losing 40 pounds, say, or 100, whatever it might be, to who am I going to become? What is the goal I'm going to create? And how is my life going to be measurably better if I do the things necessary to lose that 40 pounds, that 100 pounds? Because that goal is what's going to be the source of the motivation to keep people going, to avoid falling off the wagon in the first place, or more importantly, helping them get back on if they do.
And I think you've hit on something here about, you were talking about 95% of people who start a diet program or nutrition program without support end up quitting, because again, all the information is there on how to actually lose the weight, but the information or the feedback, from a coach is not necessarily there in that magazine that they pick up about underlying things that you were just talking about, well, how is your life going to improve once you lose this weight? Let's dig deeper, because once you hit that first roadblock, you don't have support. You don't know what you're doing necessarily. You just have these magazines or the internet helping you out. And if it gets a little bit challenging or a little bit questionable, it's like, I don't know what to do. And there's not that deep sense of, once I lose this 40 pounds, I'm going to be able to pick up my kids, my grandkids, play with them for hours. And that really, like, from the heart of what people actually want. Because I think, there's nothing wrong with being 40 pounds overweight, except that if you're 40 pounds overweight, it could lead to diabetes, to heart disease, to just an overall sluggishness, things like that. And those are the things that people really want, right? Turning those around.
Absolutely true, Chris. You're right on the money.
Yeah. So, I want to get a little more personal now. I know you've had an amazing story, and that's why you do what you do, is the success that you had. But even now, what do you still struggle with? What are still struggles, or maybe pull out a struggle that you used to have? And then second part of that question is, how have you overcome that struggle? What strategies do you implement in order to overcome that struggle?
That's a very good question. Let me answer that question by telling you my story, but telling you it in a little bit of pieces. I lost 50 pounds in 10 weeks on the program I coached 13 years ago. Now that's
say that. 50 pounds.
50 pounds
in 10 weeks.
13 years ago.
That's amazing.
Now those pounds I lost, by the way, were fat, not muscle tissue. No cannibalization of lean muscle tissue. No loss of organ tissue. All fat. That's one of the things that I'll share with you in a minute. But what's important about that story is that I lost it 13 years ago, and it's still off. And the question that most people think about or ask me is, wow, you must be some sort of special guy to be able to maintain that, keeping it off for 13 years. And the answer is, I am not. In fact, if anything, I am the worst example of somebody you would think would be successful in losing their weight and especially keeping it off for 13 years. And the reason for that is when I needed to lose weight 13 years ago is because I was a gluttonous eater. And I mean that in the literal sense. I'm not being hyperbolic when I say that. I was a gluttonous eater. And that means that, to give you an example, it was typical for me to have 8, 9, 10 hot dogs for lunch on Thursday.
Wow.
When I bought a pizza at Costco, I bought one for me and another one for the family. And me being overweight, 5'9" and overweight by 50 pounds, was a clear indication that I enjoyed food. But more importantly, all of us, the reality of food and the human body is that food is an addictive substance. I happen to be the worst example of the kind of addiction triggers that food did in my body. But all of us are addicted. The difference between us is that some people are very lightly addicted and can control it with their willpower because they have that success. I was not one of those people. I was at the other end of the spectrum. I mean, think about it. If you and I, and we know the stories of people in countries where they're suffering from lack of food. If we go without food for 2, 3, we know we'll die, number one. But more importantly, we know that if we go without food for 3, 4 days, a week, we're going to be gnawing bark off a tree because our body demands that it feed itself. We have no choice about whether we feed itself. What we do have the choice is what we feed ourselves with. And I grew up in a time, and most of us grew up with all that education out there without any real understanding of what can I do to actually fuel myself that's going to keep me from gaining weight, keep me from getting type 2 diabetes, keep me from getting cardiovascular disease. And most of us don't know that. Now, what mattered for me, Chris, after I lost those pounds is that I didn't go on a diet. I thought I was going on a diet when I went on this program to start because I didn't know anything about it other than my friends had become half their size. And I was looking to lose weight because I was an older dad and needed to stay healthy for my kids. And they said, this is the healthiest thing you can do and the weight just falls off. I said, okay, I'm doing that. And that's all the proof I needed. And it worked for me. But what I didn't know until I got into the program was it's not a diet. It's a nutrition and lifestyle intervention program. And the key word there is lifestyle. Because the other statistic that is critical for maintaining a healthy body at a healthy weight for a lifetime is the fact that the statistic that 85% of the people who are successful on any diet, on any weight loss program, without behavior change, gain their weight back within 2 years. So why wasn't I part of that 85%? Am I that special guy? No. The difference is this program has a lifestyle program given to me and supported to me and helped me learn through the help of a health coach who was free to me, so that I learned those behavior changes that changed this while I was changing my waistline. I changed the way I thought about food, my relationship to food, the lifestyle choices and changes that I need to implement to become habits so that I would never gain that weight back again. Again, I'm not special, but the program is, and it helped me readjust my attitude toward food. Because, like it or not, we need it. We can be addicted to alcohol, but we can live without alcohol. We can be addicted to pharmaceuticals and drugs, but we can live without them. We are addicted to food, but we can't live without food because so it becomes critically important for us to be able to have the tools available to us and learn how to implement them so that we can prevent that addiction from killing us sooner than it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think it's great that you're going to the root. It's a lifestyle. And even deeper than that, it's a mindset, right?
Truly.
Because I'm sure you mentioned you would eat a whole large pizza and then one for the family. I'm sure in the last 13 years, you've probably eaten pizza, maybe not a whole large, but I'm sure you've eaten pizza, right? Me personally, I have 4 kids and birthday party, cake, ice cream, pizza, that's pretty much the diet. And everybody knows, this is the funniest thing, every parent knows like, I shouldn't be eating this. And every parent's there just gobbling it away. And I'll have a few slices as well. And people are always surprised, like, aren't you a trainer? You're not allowed to do these things. And I say, the difference is, I don't focus on that. This is not, I'm not counting on this for my nutrition today. I've eaten my breakfast, my healthy breakfast. I've eaten my healthy lunch. And this is just kind of a snack, little treat here and there. And this is the exception rather than the rule.
Correct.
Whereas it sounds like when you're eating all those hot dogs and you're eating a whole pizza, and and for me myself in college, I can identify with that because my diet, literally my entire senior year of college, was a large Hawaiian pizza from Domino's, which they delivered right to my dorm room, which was fantastic. And they took the meal money from school. So I'm like, this is great. I don't even have to use cash. And a 6-pack of beer. It was awful. And so I can identify with what you're saying. But it's the habits and it's the mindset, right? That over time start to change how you view food and still allow you to, I don't really drink anymore, but if I wanted to, it would still allow me to have a beer occasionally, or it would still allow me to have a slice of pizza. And that whole falling off the wagon is really kind of a moot point, right? It's like you never fall off the wagon. You just keep going and you make better decisions next time, right?
Correct. Chris, you made an excellent point. It is, you gave a perfect example in your own example of changing your relationship to food, because there was something else more important to you.
Yep.
Than having that Domino's pizza in the morning along with a 6-pack of beer in the evening, whenever you had it.
Yeah.
The same way with me. When I decided to lose my 50 pounds, that person I wanted to become at that point was an older dad. I had 3-year-old twins. I was 61 years old. And I'd been told by the doctor that I wasn't going to be alive in 13 years. He said, that was a wake-up call for me. That was my reason for wanting to lose weight. And that's what he told me to do. Rick, you have to lose 50 pounds or you're not going to be alive to teach them how to drive in 13 years. Or if you're lucky enough to be alive because I can give you meds that'll slow down the progress of the diseases you have, your quality of life will be in the toilet. So I've got a question for you, buddy. You take a bullet for those kids, will you? And of course I would. I was a dad. Any dad would. He said, are you willing to get healthy for them? That is what motivated me to find a solution for my weight. And all I knew was to lose weight. And that's all he knew. He didn't have this program for me.
Right.
I stumbled onto this one. But more importantly, that's the kind of thing I was giving you an example of earlier when I was talking about, well, who are you going to become? Why are you here? Was I here to lose 50 pounds in this program? No. I was here to become a healthy, vibrant dad for my kids, to be there for them, not for me to be there so that I can enjoy their growing up. Of course, that's important, but more importantly, they deserve to have a dad who's alive and healthy. And Chris, that's why I decided to pay this forward as a health coach after I lost weight on the program, is that I was given a gift. I truly was given a gift of health in the most meaningful way. And I get to pay it forward. And my wife and I have been doing that for 11 years now.
That's great. That's a great story. Rick, I want to go a little big picture now. We're going to go more toward life in general advice. So let's say you've been called by a university to give the speech at the graduation. And so you're talking to young adults in their early 20s. What sort of life advice, as far as principles to help guide them through their life choices? What's your kind of 1 to 2 minute sort of motivational speech for them?
Okay, good question. I guess if I were to put myself back in the position of being that graduate, hearing from somebody speaking, I would want to share with them what I would have wanted to hear when I was 22 years old, graduating from college, that I know now. That if I knew now, for example, what I knew, or if I knew then when I was 22, what I know now, would my life and the life choices I made be whole life different, especially as my health? Oh yeah, big time. So I think I would want to give them some information in a commencement deliberation that would talk about, if I could know now what I would know at 40, what would that be? What do I need to know now to guide my life in the best way possible? And I guess the way I would say that is, when you stop and think about it, we only have 2 things that we're in control of. Only 2 things: our thoughts and our actions. And we like to think, especially when we're graduating from college, we've gotten to the point where we think pretty highly of ourselves, and we think we've got some answers, and we think we can decide our future. That's what we do at 22, graduating from college. I'm going to be a doctor, a lawyer, an Indian chief, whatever it's going to be. And the reality is, we don't get to decide our future. Since we only control our thoughts and we control our actions, what does decide our future, control our future? Well, our thoughts are the only things that lead to our actions. The actions we take create our habits, and it's our habits that determine our future. And just using food choices as the example we've been talking about today, look at the habits of each one of us in this world, using you and I as an example that we've given on this podcast. Think about the food choices we make and how those food choices, we didn't choose to get type 1 diabetes. I didn't choose to gain 50 pounds. I didn't choose to be pre-diabetic. That's why the doctor was telling me to lose that weight. So that's the message I would want to give to a graduating class of college. It is your habits are the most important thing that you need to pay attention to. If you really want to guide your future and have a direct impact and influence on your future, make sure you're in control of your thoughts, and that those thoughts are creating the actions that will produce the most positive habits you could possibly have to create the outcome, the future for your life that you would want to have.
That's great. Thank you, Rick. To finish up, I want to give people a chance to know where to find you. So where would somebody find you online? How do they start working with you if they want to do that?
Well, the best way would be to go to my LinkedIn page. My LinkedIn page, using my name, it's a public profile that I have. It's Rick Kahdeman. Kahdeman is spelled Kahdeman. And on my public profile, you'll find all the information, including my contact information, about what we do and how we do it, a description of what that means when I talk about a nutrition and lifestyle intervention program. But more importantly, we health coaches are like doctors. You know, every one of the people that we help has different health circumstances and different health conditions. And what we offer people is not a one size fits all. And that's why we don't have a web page that says, this is what we do and how we do it, because what we do and how we do it will depend on each of our clients' health circumstances and health goals. And then we will be able to recommend the appropriate protocol to suit that so they can achieve their goals using the right protocol that's consistent with their health conditions.
All right, great. Thank you so much again, Rick. I really appreciate you taking the time and joining me today.
Chris, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. And if I can give you a compliment in return, on your website, you talk about the 4Fs: food, fitness, focus, and fun. I couldn't agree more. That's the same exact philosophy I have toward what I do.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.